Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football tips for Saturday, the 15th of February. Well, I'm here. So, a quick announcement first. I can't remember your second name, but Matt and James Crowley, I appreciate the donation that you made to pay for the Racing Post um, subscription. I've now clicked a button that actually, I'll show you. It's so much easier, isn't it? So if you just watch this, I didn't realise the racing post. So obviously, I think I'm logged in now. So I've clicked a race. It doesn't matter what race. So what I always use is the racing post rating. So I'm just going to give it a chance to load up because it's a bit slow when I'm recording. So I've clicked the button and I'm logged in. So what I didn't realise is that this button here was automatically ticked. So if I click it now, this is why the racing post ratings were missing. Because that button, for some unknown reason, why on earth does everybody want to make their own ratings? So if I unclick it, the racing post ratings come back. So as much as I appreciate it, if you would like, I do have your email still available via Buy Me a Coffee. If you would like the money returning, I am more than happy to. First of all, I'm really grateful for the fact that you're willing to make that donation, but I'm more than willing to give the money back via the same route once I get paid. Because obviously, I don't want to send it back yet, just in case there's a problem with Buy Me a Coffee. There isn't normally, but yeah, I appreciate the donations. Let me know in the comments below if you would like it back, and I'm more than happy on. I think it's Tuesday; it's due to arrive. More than happy to return it. But once again, I appreciate it and thank you very much. So let me get into today's horse racing tips. So once again, I was going to wait till 9 o'clock, but I ended up putting the bet on at 7:47. In the end, I make the video at 9 o'clock, so I haven't taken best odds guaranteed, apart from the fact that I've left the SP, but I've taken the price. I've split the bet in two, kind of thing. So my bets for the horse racing are: I've had a 5 pence each way, lucky 63, six selections. I think I've taken one of the prices, and then the exact same 5 pence each way, lucky 63, and I think I've left all the prices. Then I've had a 10 pence each way, lucky 63, some other horses, but also a few of the same horses as well. I'll try and get into why I fancy them, but I don't want to keep you too long. So the first 5 pence each way, lucky 63. The first selection is Minella 60. I've left the price. I'm not going to keep saying that. Minella 60 in the 12.55 at Haydock, five places instead of three. Gordon Elliott's got two in this race. I can't fancy the other one. I think it's called Mr. Trump Card or something like that. Minella 60, I think it's got a good chance of a place. It's entered in two races at Cheltenham. If it's going to even go to Cheltenham, it needs to run well in this race. Don't get me wrong, it's probably not going to go to Cheltenham because I've seen that Gordon Elliott's got many selections in that race. He's probably just leaving his options open should this horse hack up. Well, I'm going to back it on the hope that it hacks up or at least runs well. They're giving me five places. I'm not sure what price it is. I think it's 8-1 now, but it would nowhere near that. There's a non-runner, I Am Max, which was 4-1. So obviously the prices have like collapsed slightly. I've also picked another one in that race in the other bet, and I'm very interested in that one as well because the stable having had fifth place in this last year. But I'll get onto that when we get to it. So Minella 60, in my opinion, there's an awful lot of horses in this race that aren't guaranteed to 1 3 mile. This horse runs up with the pace, can lead, but will also stay on. So if it can dictate its own pace, I think it's got a very good chance of them not actually reeling it back or not kicking it out the first five. I don't think it's well handicapped, but I don't. There's an awful lot of horses that have run well, where the racing post rating now is below the excuse me is below the horse's handicap mark. That means that they're handicapped up to the best, but it doesn't mean they can't improve. The second selection is a huge fancy of mine, but it's a bit risky. And I'll tell you the reason why. So it's, well, I would say Les Jersey Royal, but it's Les's Jersey Royal. Don't know quite know what that means. In the 3 minutes past one race at Wincanton, 4 places instead of three. This horse wants a good trip, and it's got it today. I think it's 2 mile 5 at Wincanton. However, it's very interesting how they ran it. So we ran over 2 mile 4 on its hurdles debut, I believe. It ran an okay race. Well, it ran its best race so far, achieving a racing post rating of 89. Its hurdle rating is 88, so that shows me that it's up to running up to its hurdle rate. I don't like backing horses. I think this is first time in handicap. I'm not really a fan of it. I know people like to say, "Oh, it's got it ready for its first time handicap mark." Yeah, but that's doesn't happen as often as what people think. So then, what they did then for a horse that wants further, they dropped it back in trip on speed favourite, in my opinion, tracks or tracks where sometimes it is just difficult to come from behind. So they ran it at Taunton and it got lost in the rear. Never ran a race, but it helps its handicap mark. I think it's run twice since, but it also ran at Leicester. In my opinion, at Leicester, on where it's quite often heavy ground. If you're towards the rear at Leicester on heavy ground, you don't get involved, in my opinion. And that's what happened with this horse over 2 mile. And I think it ran over 1 mile 7.5 furlong at Wincanton, which it doesn't want. Speed favouring track can be hard to make ground up. And all of a sudden they've upped it 5 furlong, which is bred to want this extra trip. And I think it's got a right chance if I've read it right, because it's not achieved anything. But what it has achieved is managed to get a very low handicap mark, which I think is definitely workable. Don't get me wrong; it's not a good horse, and it's not been running well, but it's been running down pack, and I think it's capable of much more than that. It's 6 to 1 currently. The next selection is an extremely interesting horse, and it ties in with a big prize. I've already a big prize further down. So the horse is Boston Boy. I've left the yeah in the 115 Ascot, 6 places instead of four. This horse, in my opinion, I think it's also been stepped up in trip. The dodgy thing about this horse is it's ran out twice. It ran a massively encouraging race last time where it was held up, came into the race absolutely full. Sorry, it came into contention absolutely full of running with two to run. It ran in right behind the leaders, and then basically it turned into a sprint. And the reason why I know that is because I've watched it and I've also picked another horse out of it for today that ran in that race. So Boston Boy came there really travelling really well. The front two actually sprinted away from it, but then they didn't go any further in front. It was actually closing a little bit. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was an unlucky loser. It was just, I think the jockey on that occasion was a bit tactically inept, in my opinion. Knew it was a sprint. They knew this horse wanted further, but he tried to outsprint them, or did he not try and outsprint them? And he knew they got this race coming up and was happy for a place. But anyway, it's 9 to 1 today, and I think as long as there's no dodgy antics, as in like running out, because obviously clearly it's got quirks. I think given if it has a quiet race mid division, I did say keep an eye on the John Joe Neal stable. They've got quite a few fancied horses today, and I think this has got a good chance. They've also got one called Has Thing. I think it's got an engine that has Thing, but the way it ran last time, it was actually very very lucky how it won. But I'm not going to go into it because I've not picked it. If you want to look at the John Joe Neal stable, click on John Joe Neal, the trainer on Racing Post, and just click on entries and go through, see if you can like fancy any of them. But I back the ones I fancy. The fourth selection ran in the Boston Boy race, and the horse was called I Ain't Your Mate at 16 to 1 in the 250 at Wincanton, 4 places instead of three. This is a really interesting horse. There's lots of horses in this race. It's a novice hurdle race, so it's quite interesting. They go in first four. I think sometimes they leave themselves wide open, but it is a tricky race, and there's loads of huge priced horses in this race. However, this horse was only beaten 12 lengths by Boston Boy. Don't get me wrong, it might have been flattered to a degree because it turned into a sprint. But Boston Boy, I think it's rated about 100, 112, I think. But when you see the I Ain't Your Mate's race, there's nothing even close to that. The favourites never even ran over hurdles. It's ran on a national flat. Doesn't mean it's not highly thought of and can absolutely hack up. But as you're well aware, I can't have horses confidently that have never ran over hurdles that are coming straight from the national hunt flat scene. Don't get me wrong, loads have done it. There's been loads come like good national hunt flat horses that have turned out to be top class hurdlers, but in these lowly races, I just don't think you can trust them. I think there's more value in the big prices, and I think if this horse runs up to the same form as only being beaten 12 lengths by Boston Boy, this horse has got a right chance of coming placed. Even at 16 to 1, coming fourth, I'm happy with that. The next selection, I'm not going to go into too much about it because I can't remember too much about it, but I'm sure you will have probably looked at it already because it's a Dan Skelton horse. And I know a lot of people will look at the Dan Skelton horse to see what he's got on a Saturday because it normally has either some runners that run well at big prices or he's normally got some kind of handicap favourite. So Snipe in the 3 o'clock at Ascot, 4 places instead of 3. I just think it's got a good chance. It's been running well, and I think it's 56,000 to winner, so he ain't going to ignore that. So this horse is really interesting. Where it all began, I think it's about 11 to 1, but there's not much value in the 11 to 1. It's like you have to scroll down to find it, and I'm thinking like, oh, if I'm scrolling down, I might get 20s, but 11 to 1. It's a bit of a wide open race, so it's in the 3:15 at Haydock Grand National Trial, 4 places instead of 3, and it is a wide open race. It's Gordon Elliott again. I think Gavin Cromwell's got the favourite in it, but called Yet Again or Yeah Man. Might be wrong. So this horse, I remember 2 runs ago. It did nothing last time, by the way. It jumped poorly and didn't turn up in Ireland somewhere, Garran Park, I think. The previous time, it ran, I believe, in the Welsh Grand National. I've sat and watched it, or the finish. I think with 4 to jump, the talk that obviously is commentating. Then it says where it all began. It's come from last to get into contention, and then it jumped well, and then I think at the third or fourth from home, it sprawled on landing, and it finished its race. But when you watch it from the side angle, it's hard to see because it's foggy on the video. But when you see it join in, it literally looks like it's joined in at halfway. You're thinking, crikey. I can remember seeing it actually at the time, but thinking, because my horse in that race, I think on the 27th of December, actually come nowhere. So I can remember seeing this horse. I'm thinking, crikey, I forgot all about it. I just saw it again. So yeah, it looked like it had joined in with four to jump. It then blundered or sprawled on landing 4 hour, and I think it was pulled up not long after. Um, but I think if it does the same again, as in like runs well, I don't think it's a dodgy race. This one is because there's so many in and out of form. So many obviously going for the Grand National because it is the Grand National trial. It's from a powerful connections. I think it's called. Is it the McNeils or the Neils, something like that. Powerful colours. I think it's got a chance. Decent trainer. So this one is once again. Oh, sorry, no, it's not once again. It's actually a 9 pence each way. Lucky 63 because I'd got pennies short of putting a 10 pence each way on. So this is a 9 pence each way. Lucky 63. The bet after this is basically the bet after I've read this one out. The one above it is the one below it is literally the same as the one above this bet now. I've just not taken the prices on any of them. So this bet I'm about to read out is a 9 pence each way. Lucky 63. So this horse, Bingo, is currently 50 to 1. I think it's got a right chance. It's in the 12.55 at Haydock, 5 places instead of 3. The trainer, I think, had the 5th in this race last year. Bingo, I think it will be a horse that will be ignored by a lot of people. It could return a lot bigger than that. I did look at one of his horses, James Moffat's horses, the other week when it ran well at a big price. I think it was Sandown in another big race. But I thought, I can't have it because it's not Cartmel. But this once again isn't Cartmel, but I think it's got a chance. There's a reason why it's sending it here. Don't know what the reason is. Maybe it thinks it has got a chance. But it's been a bit iffy. But if you look at the the odd race that it's ran, you could give it a chance of sneaking. I mean, sneaking, not guaranteeing, sneaking a place of like 4th or 5th. I honestly do. It'll be given a quiet race. And as I said before, I think there's an awful lot of question marks over a lot of the horses because they've been running well, but also rocketing in the handicap. The second selection is once again Les Jersey Royale in the 3 minutes past 1 race, 4 places instead of 3 at Wincanton. Third selection once again is Boston Boy in the 1:15 at Ascot, 6 places instead of 4. Snipe once again 3 o'clock. Ascot 4 places instead of 3. Right, a really interesting horse. This horse is currently 4-1, and it's a amateur jockey's handicap. But this is no amateur jockey's handicap. We've got a professional in the making. So it's raffed up. I've left the price. It's currently 4-1 in the 5 past 4 at Southwell, 4 places instead of 3. So Harriet Bethel, I do quite like the jockey trainer. I do think this horse has got chances on form. Joanna Mason has ridden this for about the last 10 or 12 races it's ran in since it went to Harriet Bethel. It went on the turf, didn't do a great deal, dropped £6 a handicap, and it's actually been okay on the all weather. Its seasonal reappearance, I think, gives it a chance. I think it would beat 2 or 3 lengths by Bomb Squad. It then ran at Newcastle, where it was keen, made a move, and wasn't beaten too far, but it finished this race okay. Or basically, I think it said no impression, but I'll settle for that in a poor race. But the fact that it was keen and still finished its race, I think it's got a chance. I'm looking at the jockey now, and her name's Mrs. or Miss or Mrs. Hannah Dring. So she's had, in 2024, I think it was, she had 10 mounts. She had 4 winners, a second, a third, and a fourth. She's out of her 10 mounts, 7 have been in the first 4. She does ride regularly for Harriet Bethel. I don't know if it's a stable jockey, but if it is, she knows all about Raft Up. I think I can remember seeing this jockey, when I think she rode a horse at Redcar, and I thought, God, what's she do? What's this jockey doing on this? It's like tailed off last, and it's one of them Redcar races where the ground are atrocious. The ones where you have to hug the far side rail, like if you're a regular of the channel. I'm thinking they're not even trying on it, and the way it came through were ridiculous. And she looked so confident, and she actually won a bit cosily. She also won similar tactics on a horse at Nottingham as well on heavy ground. I think she can ride. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, she can ride winners. I don't know what she'll look like when the horse comes under pressure, but maybe this horse has been set up ready for Hannah Dring to win on it. I don't know. Is that what happens? Joanna Mason gets used to the horse. Then when she thinks it's ready, she lets them know how to ride it. Hannah Dring takes 5 or 7 off it and she wins. I don't know. But I was very impressed when I saw her at Redcar. So I think Raft Up has got a right chance. But what you need to remember is it's an amateur jockey's race. They do fall off as well. The next selection is Alpine Sierra. It's in the 4:55 at Newcastle, 4 places instead of 3. This horse, I don't believe, has ever run over this distance. There is, what I've seen is one front runner in this race, because originally I was going to go for the angle where there were no front runners, and hopefully this horse, the walk, and then this horse uses its turn of foot, because it's run anywhere from like 6 furlongs to a mile and 2. Well, last time it was never given a chance of staying. I think it was just a racecourse gallop. Normally, this horse has held up for a late run, even over 1 mile 2. It was in touch, and it was pressing leaders 4 out. It doesn't want that, and then it said weaken quickly. Well, yeah, it doesn't want that style. Alpine Sierra, if it's held up, tucked away again, I think it could. If it stays, or if it's a slow pace, it could use its speed against some of these horses that want a mile and 4. So if it's not the horse that needs to lead in this race is it's ran over 2 mile on a regular basis. It's 1 mile 4 today. That horse, ideally, to give itself a chance, the front runner, it needs to set a fast pace, but they might leave it alone, and then it might still turn into a sprint between the horses that leave it alone. So they can leave the front runner alone and it goes and wins, or they could leave the front runner alone because it's gone too fast. It could come back. They could still turn. It could still turn into a sprint between the horses that haven't chased the pace, which is probably most of them, if the leader goes off too quick. Have I made that simple? So I think it's got a chance. It's got Paul Moore running back on board. It's actually dropped £3 since he last rode it because Miss Megan Jordan or I think it was Miss Megan Jordan rode it when it helped chase a pace, and then it was unlucky in running last time when she wasn't on it, but there was somebody else. Doesn't matter who was on it, but Paul Mulrennan's back on, and he's a top jockey around Newcastle. I'll just show you the next bet because you know what it is already. It's the other half of the 5 pence each way. Lucky 63. As you can see, I've not taken any of the prices, and just to clear my account completely, I've had 53p each way on Les Jeux Royal. So let me tell you about the football. So it's just a double today. It's a £7 over 2.5 goal double. The matches are, why did I just try and remember this? The matches are Tranmere versus MK Dons and Stevenage versus Peterborough. It's a £7 over 2.5 goals treble and a £3 over 3.5 goals treble. And to be fair, it makes a nice return for a double. For the £7 over 2.5 goals double, it makes £24, which pays for the day apart from the £10 football bet. So you can give me a like, a subscribe, let me know in the comments if you would like your money returning for the buy me a coffee. I really appreciate it, as you're well aware. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.